Hello YouTube, this is Justin K. Prim, and today I wanted to walk you through my home away from home faceting studio. Now, if you've been following our adventures over this year, you probably already know that we've been traveling the entire year. We left Bangkok at the beginning of January, and we are a little bit in Europe, a little bit in America, a little bit in Canada, and then again back to America for most of the second half of the year. Today's my last day in France, and I'm getting ready to break down the studio that we set up here, and I thought today would be a great day to just walk through a little bit of my home away from home studio and show you basically what's the bare minimum that I felt that I needed and maybe would be similar to your studio setup that you're trying to build. So let's check out what I've set up over here and see what's going on in this studio. So when we started to plan for this trip, we knew that we were going to be in France for a bunch of months over the year, and we knew that we wanted to get work done while we were here. So we started to make plans and pack up some stuff that was easy for us to take from Bangkok in order to set up this sort of temporary studio. So of course the machine is the same. It's the same machine that I use everywhere. This is the Sterling, the speed control model with the cheater. So I bought this from somebody in Spain and just had them ship it here in France, so I didn't have to try to buy a new one or bring one from Bangkok. I just brought this one, and this is going to stay here in France forever now. The rest of the stuff though I did bring with me, and I was really thinking about what are the essentials? What do I actually need? Because all this stuff came on the airplane and I had a limited amount of weight that I could bring. I guess the most important thing is going to be the laps, and I had to think a lot about this when I was planning the lap experience, because of course if I don't bring the right laps then I might get into trouble with certain stones or whatever. So I wanted to bring the most all-around laps that I could, and of course it starts with cutting. So I've got my two centered laps. These are the ones that we were selling earlier in the year, and hopefully we're going to be able to keep selling later this year. But so I've got my 100 grit and my 600 grit so I can preform and do my cutting, and then from cutting I jump into polishing, and I've got a couple different laps, really literally just two laps that I brought to be able to do polishing for any type of stone. I've got a pewter lap, so this is tin and lead. This is kind of like my new favorite lap right now. I had that one custom made because those ones you can't really get them anymore. And then I've got this dominatrix lap, so it's tin bat on the outside and diamatrix on the inside, so that sort of hybrid ceramic. So between those two, I've got them both set up the same way, 8,000 on the outside, 60,000 on the inside. So I'm doing my pre-polishing and polishing in the same motion. So those are my only laps. The only other one I have, I picked up along the way, this wooden lap. This one's really cool, especially for doing the free-handed girdles, like for ovals and cushions. Once you've cut them, you need a way to polish them, and the wood lap is really, really cool for that. It's also cool for cabochons. So basically, two polishing laps plus the wood lap, two cutting laps. That's all my laps, and I've been able to do, I think I've done about 25 stones in here. Tourmalines, garnets, sapphires, no problems. Obviously this isn't a sequence for doing quartz, but I don't really do a lot of quartz, so I'm not too worried about it. Though theoretically, and I have done it, the pewter lap can polish quartz with diamonds, which don't ask me how, but that's pretty cool. And then other gear, other random stuff. So of course I needed a way to do the dopping, so I brought my own wax from Bangkok. This is a red wax that I like. I brought the cutting board. I bought this is like my favorite kind of alcohol burner, so I brought all that stuff. I brought my favorite kind of tweezers that have a big wide back for rolling your wax. I really like these tweezers. And of course the Balomo loop. So I've got all the stuff that I need for dopping. The machine came with a set of dops and this nice plastic tray, so I really appreciate that. I've got them organized by shapes and sizes, so all the cone dops are up here, the flat dops, and then I've got these V dops, which I really don't use. But basically I put wax in the cones and I keep the flat ones clean. Those are going to be for transferring with super glue. So I've got everything for dopping, the dops, the wax, the heating, and then I'm using the handpiece in order to do the final adjustments. I can actually finish the dopping process in the handpiece. So then, yeah, magnification. As I said, I got my loop, but I also brought this magnification loop. These are essential for doing emerald cuts or doing really any cuts where I've got a faceted girdle. I just did one yesterday with a 7-sided outline. It's kind of a new cut that I've been playing with. And I measured each side to make sure that it was exactly even on all sides. So this is the way that I like to do it. Of course, the pad and the paper, this is essential, and you can see that this is all of my notes from the last couple of months, just random angles and indexes. If I've done about 20 stones, then you can see 3 of them have been off diagrams. The rest of them have just been improvised or made up on the spot, or it's just a pattern that I already know and I just need to keep track of the actual angles that I use for that specific piece of rough. So the pen and the paper is ultimately useful. What else did I bring? Calipers. These are essential for doing to a specific size, or if you need to, let's say, cut a matched pair. I didn't cut any matched pairs this year, but I did need to measure some stones. Or when you're finished with the stone and you want to sell it, you usually need to be able to tell someone how big it is, so that's useful. The transfer block, this came with the machine. I think I used it once out of the 20 stones. I had one stone that didn't have a table, so I couldn't do my normal freehand transfer, so I had to use the transfer block and sort of do it American style. But that's there, and I'm happy to have it sitting there if I ever need it, just to keep things, if I can't keep them straight by my own eye, then that thing's really handy. And then for doing the other side of my transferring, or the other side of my dopping, I guess, is the transferring. And we love the Loctite 480. You can see that we've been using it. We put it on top of the jar for the acetone, and we can dip it that way so it doesn't drip. So this is my acetone jar. I brought this, even this is from IKEA, but it was easy for me to get that in Bangkok because I had a bunch of them. I've got my spray alcohol for cleaning the stone. I've got 2 different grits of diamond powder, so that's what I already said. What's on here, the 8,000 and the 60,000, and I just keep those on top of my machine in individual little bowls, and you can see that they're marked. So I've got 04 and 01, which is 8,000 and 60,000. What else is here? I brought myself a few different index gears in case I needed to do funny shapes, and I have definitely used them between the 96 and the 84 and the 80. Those are really handy, and I use those all the time. And then definitely needed a scale. We knew that we were going to be putting stuff up online, so the calipers and the scale kind of go together. You need to know the weight, you need to know the size in order to sell the stone. So we have those 2 things for measuring. Couple of Allen wrenches for either changing the index gear, or the big one, I forget what this one does. I think it's for locking the bottom of this arm because it came in the mail, so the arm wasn't on the machine. And then baggies for putting the stones in when we're done. Paper towels, obviously, for polishing. And you can maybe see down here, I've got a large waste basket of 3 months of paper towels that's sort of overflowing now. My machine has a UK plug on it, so I have a UK to Europe power adapter. It's not an adapter, it's just to make the plugs fit correctly. And other than that, that's mostly it. A couple things that we got from the hardware store here. So we have the acetone that goes in the jar. I've got the alcohol that goes into the spray bottle. I've got the alcohol that goes into the alcohol burner. This one was interesting. We didn't know what this was in France because it has a different name in every country. In Thailand, the one that we use is actually like a paint thinner. In the UK, it's mineral spirits or terps. But here in France, this is the alcohol that's for like a cooking camping stove. So once we knew that, we had to ask somebody here in France that is a gem cutter, what do we need for the alcohol burner? Because of course, if you get the wrong one, either it doesn't work or the flame is like humongous and too hot. But this is pretty much my home away from home studio. I brought the light. This is like my favorite light from the ones that we sell in our student kits. But other than that, my phone and AirPods, because I'm always listening to podcasts and audiobooks and stuff while I'm cutting. So I consider that to be now like essential tools. I don't really want to sit down here and cut if I don't like have something to keep my mind stimulated. But this is pretty much my whole setup. I got the table, it was basically a second-hand table that was just sort of sitting around, and I chopped the legs off to the size that I needed, so I didn't need to go and buy that IKEA table that I normally like to use. But other than that, this is pretty much like a whole setup, and didn't really need anything else for the actual cutting part. Now if we flip around to the other side, we can see that we brought a couple of other goodies to help us out. So this side of the room is Victoria's side. So I'm on one side, she's on the other, and since she's here a lot longer than I am this year, she got the nicer side with the nice window light. But so we set this desk up. This is her station, and she pretty much just has all the same stuff I do. She has a different kind of wax, and a lot of the stuff we're just sharing back and forth across the room because there's not really a reason for us to have, you know, 2 alcohol burners or 2 acetone jars. But so she's got her station over here with her laps and her bunter machine and, you know, all of her stuff. And then we have this table set up over here to do a couple of different things. So we've got the nice light coming in. So this is the perfect place to do photos. And so we brought our photo camera with the macro lens so that we'd be able to take photos of the stones and show them on Instagram and on our website and everything else. And of course, this whole year we're filming a documentary, so we were already gonna have that with us. So, you know, we've got just a couple little props here for putting gems on and showing them. But then also this table is really nice for, you know, putting down the white pad and looking at rough. And we've been going through all these garnets and just basically picking out stones, sorting them out, cutting them, you know, little tripods for taking videos of stuff that's on the desk. And then, you know, just going through our days and weeks and months. And we were lucky enough, Victoria's mom let us sort of take over. This was a storage room that she had, which is like downstairs from her apartment. So we're 2 floors underneath of everybody else. And I guess it's awesome. It's a beautiful room. It's not too small. It's perfect size for 2 of us, and we even have a little space for the dog down here. So this could theoretically be a second bedroom, a basement, you know, set up, a garage. I mean, the space in here it's very small. I guess it's about the size of a small bedroom in here. And it's mostly a utilitarian space. So having the cutting gear, having the work surfaces, and of course having the cameras and stuff is really all we needed. Maybe thinking about doing the same thing in America too. So who knows, maybe next year we'll be seeing a home away from home America Faceting studio tour. But until then, I hope this video has been informative, useful, inspiring, maybe giving you one new idea for some way that you want to tweak your studio, or maybe you're just building your studio. Pretty much most of the stuff that's in the table over here we sell in our Facetors Toolkit, which is up on magusgems.com. The machines you can buy through Sterling, the laps from Gear Loose. The centered laps we'll have later this year, we hope. And everything else is coming from the hardware store. So hopefully you guys can find everything you need either from us or the companies that we like to work with, or from somebody who's local to you. So whether you're in your studio already or just starting to build it, I hope you have a great time. This is Justin K. Prim, and I'll see you next time on The Gem Cutter's Craft.